Okay, just want to make sure this is live. There we go, so we're live. Here we go. Good. All right, so let's open your site model and let's go to site plan. Sham, grab a chair if you want. Okay. So that, did you build that in the building model?
Yes. It was literally
Just very quick to.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to
All
see
right.
what happens.
So you want to create like some sort of hill and then a terrace and.
Yeah. So essentially, like that would be cut flat, and then these would be almost added type of solids, and then that stays the same.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're creating like a organic type of path.
Yes.
You're having like a flat in between, and then it will. What happens at the end of this? What happens at the end here?
So there, it will probably would stay into like a into the square area, which ramps up to that size again.
Okay.
And then there's a retaining structure here.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
And
in
the
this,
same thing happens on the other
so
side.
I'll talk through the concepts broadly, and I'll show you very quickly how you can do this. Okay. So the first thing you must do is actually. You'll see that this is a topography top of solid. I'm going to change it from, so here I'm going to change to existing, because technically this becomes an existing. I'm going to copy this one, I'm going to paste in place. Yeah, because of that, the basement. So, okay. So let me grab that and that, because there was a copy. Interesting. Should be doing this. Okay, let me just select this guy as well. So select that. Okay, something else is cutting this. So paste in place. Paste in same place. Okay, so now I'm going to have two of these topper solids. So that's a new construction one now. When I pasted it, it's made it new construction by default.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what you want. Sorry, this is not working. Why is that not working out there? Let's see if that works. There we go. Okay, so basically, if I go and change my phasing now, and I say show new, it'll hide everything that was part of the old construction. Okay, so in theory, we've got two topper solids. If I go back here and I say show all, and I select, I should have two topper solids, which I do. See, two. Okay, so one is going to be new construction, and if I tab once, that's going to be existing. Okay, so I'm going to click, so I'm going to say new construction. I'm going to actually rename this. I'm going to call this, I'm also going to give it a new material or a new type, just so that I can control it better as well in case. But I'm just going to go and say show new. Now if I select the topper solids, there only be one. So I've used phasing to kind of give me that. Okay, now what you'll start seeing, you see this net cut and fill.
Yes.
When I start manipulating the new in relation to the old, it will start giving me
Numbers. Okay.
Okay, so that's quite neat. Okay, so the best way to do this, let's duplicate your site. I'm going to duplicate this, and we're going to call this, we're going to make this working. I'm just setting up an environment so I can model stuff quickly and quickly set up what I need to do. So this is great because I just want to work in that area. And I'll start putting some information on here that will help me. And then in 3D view, because we're going to have to jump between 3D view and that a lot, duplicate this guy. Duplicate with detailing. Okay, so I'm creating a duplicate of my 3D view as well. I'm going to rename this 3D view just so that this view I can be quite strategic and focus on that area that I want. Okay, so in this view very quickly I'm going to switch on a section box, and I'm going to focus on a very specific area, because you don't need literally I'm focusing, and you can have multiple 3D views that do different, okay, because there's too much other data to work with from time to time, which gets quite annoying. Okay, so exactly that. That's all I want to work with. Okay. Okay, and sometimes I like to switch its perspective just so when I'm zooming in, Shift W, I can now walk around a bit. So I just find that this gives me a much better feel for what's going on. Okay, so here you can really, that does happen, so you can use the rewind button to get back. You do get lost sometimes. Okay, all right, good. All right, so we set up the environment. So what I'll do in site plan, site working, so keep that closed, keep that closed, keep that closed. So these two views are where we're going to focus. You can tab them at points when you need to see them in conjunction, or okay, this I'll minimize a bit so I can see. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to start dropping in some annotation symbols. I want to annotate the topo solid. So massing and site, I'm going to drop in some labels because I need to understand my contours. Okay, now these contours, edit label, you just have to change the default units. I'm going to specify that to be meters, and I'm going to put 2 decimal places, because if you start thinking a bit more like a civil engineer, you'll start appreciating this a bit better. They work in meters, okay, so you've just got to get, but what's interesting, if I select the top of solid now and I go and say modify sketch, sorry, no, so if I select this and I go to add point, you'll notice that these points have been provided here for me already. So if I select on that 1500, and guess what?
It's on that.
Okay, good. So switch that off. What I like to do first, detail line, I like to start drafting what I want to see. I try and manipulate the topography as I want to see it very quickly. So you remember in first and second year where you did those contour plans, how you started to understand? We actually do the same thing in in Revit. So I'm going to go and find maybe a red line. Just pick a line that's very distinguishable. You can always make a construction line, but I know that this lines is always like a green color. Okay, so I'm going to create some very organic. So say now I want to put these organic shapes like you did here. I'm just doing this rough. I'll come back and redo this again. This is quite an interesting, but it doesn't like to close these things for some strange reason. Splines are not very snap end. You'll notice that these things they don't like to close splines. You need a straight bit of line work to close it, which I find interesting. Okay, enter. Okay, now these endpoints, you can go and edit these points, but you see they're not very, splines in Revit are not, I don't like splines that much. They're actually quite annoying, but anyway, it's just because of the anyway, we can close that. Let me just do that again. Convert to lines. That's just if you can. Let's just do that again. Detail line. So let's go detail line. Spline. Let's work a bit better. So I'm just looking at yours. So try and pick a point. Now then, what I'll use now is an arc tool. So I'll pick an arc tool. Actually, that won't work too well. So let's just use an arc tool now. This takes a little bit of, you'll just have to find something that's close. Okay. But if you tab, they are a joint bit of line work. Okay. Just try and maybe work with arcs and lines a bit better to kind of get it more buildable. Splines are very difficult to set out. You're going to have to use coordinates, but you can. So what I do like is you can go and change these. These tell you that the endpoint. So here you do have power to go and edit it. Once you've got the shape in place, you can go and edit. So that is quite neat that you can quickly get, but maybe for this workshop, it's good. I'm going to grab all of this, tab. I'm going to make this a copy and I'm going to put it on the opposite side. Because it's kind of what we're going to do. This one you can now just, so that is powerful in the sense that you can change the shape quickly. And you can add and remove nodes, okay, to control the spline. Anyway, let's just kind of get this in a good. Okay, good. Now, this is actually very easy to work with if you understand these points and how you use these break lines, etc. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is I'm going to go detail line. Now, I use straightforward lines and chains to do this. So say now, when I come out of this 1250, so what I want the 1250 to do maybe is I want the 1250 to go level. I'll tweak this now. 1250. I want the 1250 to kind of do this type of effect, and then make sure you come back to the 1250 here. If you need to add more labels, you can copy this, put this on the other side. Just so you understand, so this 1250, you understand where you need to get back to this level.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this 1250 all the way there. Then these guys, detail line, they will form a bank. Now what you're trying to do as well, you see where you've got these snap points. Try and keep them in the same, because if this works on triangulation, and if you match where these points are roughly, you'll notice that when you start creating the, so maybe this needs to come back to that level. And I'm doing this very quickly because if I tap, I can grab these points and I can get quite accurate. I can snap these points, I can get very accurate now. And I know that that line is that line is that. And again, I'll go detail line. And I quickly, you'll see, this doesn't take, again, try and keep, so one there, one there, one there. Why did it finish the command? Because it snapped into that line work, so let's delete that. So detail line, so list. And you can move these points closer once you need to. And I'll explain what we're doing now, in the sense that when you create an embankment, it's very difficult to create a perfect embankment in Revit. So you just need to offset the lines a fraction, but you're going to build a retaining wall there in any case, which you can use to cut away. So it'll look perfect. So don't worry about it. Now, if you need to add points, I'll show you how to do that as well, to refine. So remember, this will stop and come back to there. So this again, tab. Okay, now if you want to split this line, you can use the split line tool, just like that. But now tab. And you want to get back to that line there, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, close. Because this will start... This will start making sense now. Okay, now that I've got this basic line work, it's pretty straightforward now. I'm going to go and grab, I'm going to say add points. Okay, now with adding points, it's going to ask you for an elevation. So you're going to say base point. Here you're going to say survey point, doesn't matter. But project base point, we know that our project base point is down. So that's straightforward. Okay, so now we need to start adding some points. So I'm going to say add point. Now it's going to ask you for an elevation. What do you do now? 12. So this is 12,500, just like that. Now you're going to add a point there. You're going to add a point. All it's doing is adding the triangulation.
Oh my goodness, that's easy.
No, it's not that bad. It's just if you lose the line work sometimes. I don't like this triangulation. So let me just go to VG and switch off the triangulation. So top is solid. Split lines we want. Okay, maybe in topography they've triangulation is off. But anyway. Okay, so you're going to follow that. So maybe that should be a nice thick red line so we can see it better.
Yeah.
Okay. But you'll see, this is quite easy. Once you get this, and what's nice is it gives you endpoints to snap to. And you'll see, all the time, it's just trying to make triangulation. It's trying to make triangles in which it works. So now, that's my first, now you can see it's created a bit of a flat spot here.
Yes.
Okay, remember I can go and add this line back. I might have to go and add that line back, but it's falling now. It's falling. So you might have to add another bit of line work here, but you can trace that very quickly. Straightforward. Now, the next one we need to work on is the, I should have written this down. It's the 1275. So here I'm going to go and say, just make sure. These not, why did it not, sorry, these should all be 12,500. That's better. Don't know why I didn't do that. You see it's almost close now.
Yeah.
Okay, so oh yeah, and be careful. You only want to work with show not all, new. Okay, show new only. Okay.
Oh yeah, you can see how the consoles
Yeah.
change. Yeah.
So here you're going to go and say edit and add point. Okay, now, so the next level we're working is the 1275. So I'm going to go here, 12750. Absolute, not a long surface. Okay, so absolute means that was a long surface. So just be careful. It will try and add a point along a surface. So absolute, that's why I did it, 12750. Okay, now you're going to see these points, and provided that you've worked, you'll start seeing this will start creating a bank.
Yeah.
And provided you follow this, your triangulation starts. You see how nice triangulation is starting to work?
Yes.
Okay, so now it's understanding what you want to do. Okay, then it'll go off into the next one. Great, so that's that one done. So now we're going to go to 1300. So doing it, sorry, let me just do that again. Sketch. I think those were 1300 now that we're good. 1300. Good. Okay, 1300. So I'll just make sure. 1300. You'll see if you make it 0, it'll go very far down. Okay, 1300. 1300. No takers.
Jason, no, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So is the top floor supposed to be timber or concrete, like the roof?
No,
It's timber.
Is it also timber? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now this is starting to work nicely. Sometimes you'll notice that if they don't start working, you see that you've got this weird break here in the middle. What you have to do is copy this point. Now you can also copy these, or okay, the older version you could copy it. That's interesting. So let's do that again. Okay, so the older version you could copy these points. That is interesting. Oh well. So now you know that that's 1250. So you're going to go and say 12500. You might have to put a point here in the middle. So what you might have to do is introduce a point here in the middle. Okay, that's strange that you can't copy these. In the older version, you could copy this. Interesting. Okay, point, copy, no. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah.
So now you're starting to get this slope. But now, what's cool is, when you want to start refining the slope, so select this. You're going to go to edit point. Now you can start moving these guys closer. Okay, so modify. So now you can move this point, and you can start moving these things closer. See this move command? Now, if you want to, you can move this closer. You can now refine what you're trying to do here, in essence. Okay, so here you can see it's created a bit of a flat spot, but this is modify points, and let's check what that point is, 1300. So modify that, 1300, 1300. Here we might have to copy, so we need another, so that was a 1250. So you're going to place point, 12500. So you just have to sometimes go and refine. You might have to add a point there, and you might have to go 750. Really, the old one was way better. So you're just trying to refine that point there. So that triangulation, you might have to do the same here. So you might have to copy that point there. So that's your 12750. We'll go there. We'll start fixing it. Now I need to add another one of those points there as well. Okay, so I'm going to go absolute, and that will be 12500. 12500. 1200. I'm going to put another one there. You'll see that it'll start fixing this little glitch. Okay, but that's good enough for now. Okay. See here, it's created a little flat spot, but maybe I need to put another one of these 1300s along there to fix that. And then you might have to put a couple more of those dots. But that's very interesting that you can't.
So the more dots you have, the more you can make shapes. Okay.
Yeah. So this guy. But that's very strange that you can't. In the past, we could copy these. You could use the copy command. Just see, Control C, Control V. Can't copy element. That is horrible. So the older version, you could copy these points and you could fix them quicker. Now that's actually more interesting. That is interesting. We just see shape editing, preview points, because you can reset the shape. Okay. Anyway, you get the idea. You literally just play with these points until you get what you want. Okay, so let me just see what that one was, 1300. Let's pull that back. See how you can just move them around.
Yes.
Okay, so that's quite neat. So I can move this guy, put that there. Good. So now you can start. Sometimes I will copy these, put them in the middle, put a couple down there, just so it starts working a bit better. But that's in essence what you're doing. Now, if you want to make this point higher, so maybe you want to make this little, you want to put a couple points here, and you want to make that 13, 17, or 14. So if I go add point now, and I go to 1400, now I can make this a little high point here.
Oh, and it will create a hill on its own. Oh, nice. Okay.
Here you might have to put another one in the middle. Let's create a high point here. Then you can go and make that a little higher in the middle again. So 1500, 500, so 1450. Put one there, put one there, put one there, put one there, put one there. That's made a little high spot there. Okay, it looks strange, but every time you exit, you'll notice now how that's changed quite dramatically. Okay, but remember you've got the old surface every time to go back to.
Yes.
So you can copy it again. Okay, so now if I go to 3D view, you would have noticed I've created a
Oh, yes. Okay, oh, that's really cool.
Okay, so now that's working really well.
Yes.
Okay, so it's actually now what I would start doing is to start working with this a lot better. I'll create a section through the site. So site plan, I'll create a whole section. I'll create a series of these that I'll keep deleting. And here we're seeing both, by the way. And guess what happens with your cut and fill? So when I select these sites, see this?
Yes.
Fill. We've cut 16 cubes.
Yeah.
And we've only filled.
Yeah. You can start also balancing that.
So that's very neat. Okay, so we can start playing with that dynamic. Now, what you do is you use these sections. So you're going to start using these to start exploring your site.
Yes.
Okay, something's not like there. Go back to site plan. Let me just change it in this direction. So flip that. And I just want to focus on this bit here. Just like that. That's strange. Why am I seeing? Your imported symbols were imported correctly, by the way. You import them into an in-place family. That's why they don't cut. So that's what's going on. So that's why these don't cut. Okay, so just hide it in view for now. You know how to fix that, hey?
Not really, but...
No, you just architecture, component, model in place, generic model, context. Okay. Inside that during the model, you link it in there because then it will cut properly. Okay. All right. That's easy to resolve. But now you're getting a cut profile through your site. And now you're starting to see now with your site. So that's 0. This is your datum now. This, you can start creating levels here, but maybe datum's fine. If you start understanding how these levels work, then whenever you're building walls now, so if I go back to site working, so what I can start doing now is I can go to architecture wall. So I'm going to say wall architecture. I'm just very quick again. I'm going to say pick line tool. Okay, let's first set up the wall. So wall. I'm going to make this just make it a masonry wall for now. Now it's going to start at level datum because that's your site level in essence. It will be deep, but we can start getting it high and low.
Yes.
This, we can say this is not a vertical, this is not a building. I'll explain when we change the levels, but I'm going to make this an unconstructed height, unconnected. So let's make it 4.5 meters for now, because then I can. Hello. Yeah. Okay, that's correct. So pick lines. Oh, why won't it? Oh yeah, it doesn't like splines. You can draw in splines, by the way. Okay, that's interesting that it doesn't like splines. I see there's quite a few things. This thing doesn't like splines. Interesting. Okay, but if that's the case, what you can do, now you can go to Component, Model in Place, Walls. I'm going to call this, yeah, I'll just call it Walls 1 for now. So I'm going to say Extrude. Just like that. I'm going to go and say Offset, so Offset. This does happen sometimes, so you might have to. So let's just tab. It'll tell me when there's a problem. So then switch this off. This is not happy, huh? That's the problem with splines. Just see, these things must join. Tab. There we go. That one joins. Okay, so let's just delete this guy. So this arc here. No, there it is. Now, this won't join. This is very interesting. So you have to delete this bit of line work and create a new arc. So that's, just be careful using splines. They're good at some things, poor at other things. Okay. So what's nice now, oh yeah, should edit work plane, datum. Good. Now you've got a 3D view working.
Yes.
Okay, now you can start. Okay, so now you can start creating these little walls. You might have to change them at different levels, but if you're using proper arc tools and that, you'll find that you'll build those walls very quickly.
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain how you. Okay, so that's one option. Okay. So that's one option. And what's nice is this cuts into, you can use this to cut into your topo solid, okay? You can use this technique to make retaining walls. Okay. So let me just put some shading in here. So let's put shading. Okay, now you're starting to see this in more detail. And you can refine these edges. You can add more. Okay, there you go. Okay, I might switch this off while I'm doing this. But it doesn't really matter. Okay, now, if you're going to do this with walls, so let me explain this. I create the best way to do this with walls. So go back to, close this one, go to this working. So say now I've got this shape. Delete this. Okay, so if we're going to go to, so detail lines, what I do is I use line work first. I create a basic shape. Like that. Then what I do is right click, and then you're going to go and say I want to edit this, so create similar. It creates this command. Then you use
Okay.
And it'll limit you sometimes, I'll explain. So just create similar. So you get the line work in the more or less in the right place. And then I'll go and adjust the arcs a bit later. Just get the arcs in place. This way, mathematically, you see it gives you all the center points. Now, if you go and select this, you can switch on the center points. It switches on a mark for you, so you can use dimensions or grid to dimension this. Okay. Create similar. So again. So sometimes you might have to if you want to move elements around a bit. But now, okay, this one we can delete because that's done. Let's tab this guy. Now, at any point, you can go and trim this. You see that this will trim properly. You can adjust this. It won't go beyond a certain point. You see where it starts giving you that straight line.
Yes.
Then you know you've reached the limit of that. But you can see I can get a very good result. I can get a better result this way.
Yeah.
And now what's nice is if I go to walls and I set up my walls correctly. Now remember, face center line, you want core exterior, core face exterior. Tab. It's done the walls, okay. What level? Yeah. If I go to 3D view, 3D working, they're just in the top of solid. Okay, why? Let me just check those walls and see why they didn't. So, sorry, let's get underneath here. Get into the top of solid. Okay, select those. Tab. These walls started off the wrong level. Let me just go back to start working. Now I'm going to switch this to hidden. I'm going to tab these walls. So tab. These walls started at level, see that was wrong, it should have been data. Okay, this bit of wall work here, it didn't work out. Just be careful, there was a bit of an arc, you see that arc didn't quite work out, but that's alright. So this side plan was using level, it's always associated to level 0. So just remember, keep that in mind when you're working. You could set up a new datum level and work there rather, and set it up like a bit there. Okay, now each one of these walls you can now go manipulate very quickly. And that's how we do it on site. And if you split this wall, watch this, split line, split. You can split these into segments, and then each one of these you get, so you step them.
Yeah, so it's slowly gradually.
Yeah, because it to be like a step foundation. You just want this to be, so you can actually build these up quite rapidly. Okay. But you see now, I've got that and it works. Okay. Morning. I've just got to see someone else first and then I can help you. Okay. But D, you can wait in line and then I'll help you. Okay.
Yes. I'm just going to carry on working.
Yeah, and then it starts doing that. Cool.
You're feeling a bit more comfortable?
Yes.
Now, if you're going to use 3D trees, be very careful. I'm going to give you, this is a very, very, very cool trick, by the way. Go to 3D Warehouse. Go to 3D Warehouse. Sorry, let's close that. So, 3D Warehouse. 3D Warehouse. I was going to give you this tip for free, and I'll give you one inside. Okay, 3D Warehouse. Go and find a very basic tree in here. Very low poly basic tree.
Okay.
You're going to download a very basic tree. So let's just pick maybe, I don't know if these are 2D or 3D. So let me just find something that's kind of 3D that gives me enough information. But that's not too intense. Maybe this one. Let's just see what this looks like. So you can go and see this in 3D in here. So 3D view. You can go and view them and see what they like. Okay, and let's just say view in 3D. Because those trees are going to be a nightmare to work with in Revit. Okay, there's too many polys. Okay, so let's go back. That's a horrible tree. So let's just find something that's kind of okay. So I just want to find a decent tree that's kind of okay. There's lots here, so maybe something more like that, more symbolic. Okay, so let's get this, download. So I'm going to say SketchUp file. I'm going to put this on my desktop. Okay, because those will be quite artistic. Okay, put on my desktop, save. Now I'm going to open up Format. And I'll load it in very quickly. Okay, in Format. So I'll open up Format quickly, and I'm going to open up this tree and I'll plug it in. But I'm going to show you what you need to do in Format first to make it look correct in. Okay. You can play with the translucency of but use Format the whole time to build your library. Okay. You can keep re-importing it, but Format will actually give you a much better result of that tree in Revit.
Okay.
Those
And
be
then
very
on-
high poly.
Yeah, on plan as well.
They look very, yeah, so watch
Yes.
this. You'll see that these will look way better.
So that's what they look like. It's very. I mean, the trees itself is fine. These bushes are not. I don't like them. Way
Yeah,
better.
look, Revit does do an okay job, but yeah, okay, so I'm going to go file. Those are secondary in any case. So I'm going to say import locally, desktop. Now, what's nice is this will open up a SketchUp file. So you go to SKP. Make sure it's close to the origin. You see they're very basic trees, but this is what you want. Okay. Now make sure that everything is exploded. Okay. And make sure everything is meshes as well. So explode. So I explode everything here. And there is a tree that you can go and see. You can go and see all the groups. So you can expand all. So expand all and you can delete. So you can ungroup all. So this is a great way to ungroup all again. So now everything is, select everything, convert everything to a mesh. I use a plugin that you just switch on and you just say mesh all. So I'm going to select everything and I'm going to use the mesh all plugin. So I'm going to say mesh all selected. Now technically if I select this and I go to settings, it should be a mesh. It'll tell me mesh. Okay. These shouldn't be. Okay, so now you see you can go and edit the materials now as well. You can give them a better material. You can make this semi-translucent, and I'll maybe move all of this to the middle. So move this. Okay, so let's just move. So I select everything, and I'm going to move. So I want to move this more or less in the middle, just like that. Good. And just use a dimension. I just want to see dimensions, how big these are. Yeah, that's big enough. Maybe you get rid of the one and you make two variants, so maybe let's do that. Get rid of that one. So then I'm going to move this guy. Move. And you can make little variants of this tree in here.
Yes.
You can literally select that and use the scale function to get it kind of... So you make a couple variants. Now, if you save this, export. So you're going to save locally. So save sketch, locally, desktop. I'm just going to call this tree. Good. Now, in Revit, I'll call this now. I'm going to go to family. So I'm going to go to file, new family. And you're going to go and import. So you're going to make a new family. It'll be a planting. So you can use entourage as the same one, but there is a planting. See this planting?
Yes.
Open. Now, this is where the magic happens. Insert, import CAD, desktop, AMX, tree, it'll import it around the center. I should have checked the units, but if you say auto, it should work it out. Okay. This will, if it's quite mesh heavy, this will take a bit of time, but you'll see that it comes out quite. But if you switch on hidden, you don't see, so you get that little symbol. Okay, so now, but I go 3D view and I switch on realistic. It'll look just like the format file, and it won't have all those hundreds of lines. And when you load this into Revit now, so I'm going to go to File. So let's just say Load into Project. So Load into Project. Okay, let's go to Site Plan Working sometimes if you're in the wrong view. So let's just go to Site Plan. Okay, now we're on the wrong level. You want to add this to Datum. Okay, now in 3D View. So what you can do now in 3D View, sorry, I'll just close that now. 3D View working. And you'll notice that it won't be heavy.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's a mesh. So you could make these, and then what you do in Revit is you make different little versions of this tree. You make 3 or 4, so in the family file. So you can either do it in the format file, you can make different versions and sizes, or if you open up, so let's go to View, Close and Active Views. So in here, you can change the scale of these objects. You see this feet and inches, you can change the scale factor. So what you can do is you copy this, copy, paste and place. That's weird. So I'm going to make 2 versions. So that'll be one. I'm going to go and edit type. Now I'm going to change this to 0.5.
So it's like half the size now.
Okay, where's the other one? Paste in place. You should be 2 here. You know what? You're gonna have to. Anyway, you might have to bring in different ones and then control them because they got the same name. You'll need to bring in different ones of different sizes, and you can use you can set a parameter in visibility that switches the different sizes on.
Yeah.
Then you can have one with different sizes in. So that's quite clever. But you link it. You link the same one. You just give it different names and sizes. But if you select this guy, there's 3. So let's just select this one at a time. 1. Yeah, I see it's the same symbol every time. So it's affecting all of them at once. So it deletes. So you've got to create a different name and then import them in different sizes. So that import, you go large, medium, small, and you import them all. But you can make separate families as well. Okay. Okay, let's just make this 0.8 maybe 0.5. Just want to show you the effects. Apply. Press OK. Load into project. Override existing version.
Then yeah, okay, yeah.
Understand? Okay. And now this is super light. And it's more diagrammatic for what we're doing. It's more suited. Now, in here, you can start building up your topography. Just remember, you'll have to match the points more or less. But if you follow those lines where those points are,
Yeah.
you get it. You get it. Okay.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Save this. I'm going to give you this magic. The tree's built in. I won't give you the family. The tree's built in. Okay. So let's just close that. I'm going to stop the streaming. No. Okay, I've saved this to desktop. Close that. And here I'm going to say